Wait, you're telling me there's a movie with Rocky Balboa in it, and he doesn't fight? Creed, the movie starring Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Johnson, or Adonis Creed, and also Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa. The movie is directed by Ryan Coogler, who also directed Michael B. Jordan in the movie Fruited Station. Haven't seen that movie yet, so this is the first movie I've ever seen directed by Coogler. The movie starts out with a young Adonis in a juvenile detention center. We don't exactly know why he's in the juvenile detention center or how he got there, but if you saw the trailer, he speaks to the fact that he was in and out of juvenile detention centers throughout his life. Won't go into why he's in there or how he gets out, but just know that that's kind of where the movie starts out. We quickly flash forward to present day, and Adonis, Michael B. Jordan's character now, is getting ready for a fight. And the fight's in Tijuana, Mexico, and it's kind of just an underground, shady-looking fight, kind of reminiscent of the first fights in Rocky. But we soon learn that that's not his day job. The next scene, he's sitting in an office with a suit and tie, and going about it a 9-to-5 regular day job. We learn this isn't really the life for him, quits his job, moves to Philadelphia to become a fighter and train with Rocky. Getting to the point where he meets up with Rocky, I found my first issue with the movie. Anytime Adonis encounters a professional fighter, a graphic pops open on the screen, letting us know who the fighter is, what their record is, what belts they hold, what their rank in the world is, and it just wasn't needed. It kind of pulled me out of the movie right when I started. Don't worry about it popping up every other 5 seconds, but it did happen enough to where I just took notice, and it didn't really need to be there. You find out everything you need to know about these boxers just by seamless, integrated exposition throughout the movie. So I'm not exactly sure why they felt the need to pop these graphics up, but they did, and I guess they're kind of a neat gimmick, but they just didn't work for me. But what makes the movie enjoyable is Michael B. Jordan's portrayal as Adonis Johnson, or Adonis Creed. He is instantly likable and charming in the role. You want him to succeed in everything that he does. Jordan has great chemistry with Stallone, and they play off each other really well. You can kind of tell that they're really having fun playing each of these characters, and it really came across well on the screen. Jordan also had fantastic chemistry with Tessa Thompson, who plays the love interest of the movie named Bianca. It's a very sweet love story, and it echoes Rocky and Adrian's love story in the first movie. Now, Bianca's a little bit better adjusted than Adrian was in the first movie, but so is Adonis compared to Rocky as well. Her character does have one interesting trait that kind of detracts a little bit from the movie, and I don't really know why they put it in there. I guess if there's sequels, they can play off of that in sequels. I guess we'll have to see how well this movie does first, though. But these interactions between these three characters and whoever they're on the screen together with really works well for the movie, and is a great part of the movie. The good interactions between Jordan and Stallone build into the great training montages we get throughout the film. The build-up to the first fight is well paced, and we get to see him go through all the paces of becoming a good fighter, and the montage ends at a perfect moment with a great use of score. The fight sequences are also really well shot, and it's probably the first Rocky movie, not really a Rocky movie, but it's the first Rocky movie where the fight and boxing sequences are almost true to life. The final fight had one instance where it kind of took me out a little bit. I'm not really sure why they threw that in there when the rest of the fight was completely different, but it was very short-lived. The only other issue I had with the final fight is they kept cutting away to different people, and didn't really need that. I would have much rather just stayed in the ring. That being said, even though I really liked all the training montages, I think a couple could have been cut out to help pick up the pace of the movie. Kind of felt it started to drag at certain places, and if they would have cut some of those training montages out, which didn't really add a whole lot, I think the movie would flow a little bit better. The movie checks in at a little bit over 2 hours, so even if they cut out those training sequences, I think they could have added back in some scenes with the actual final opponent, because I thought he was really lacking in the movie. He seemed like a great fighter, and he seemed like he had an interesting backstory, but they really didn't play that up much, and they definitely focused more on the story between Adonis and Rocky, and built that relationship up really well, and I really liked that. But all the other Rocky movies, and I know this isn't a Rocky movie, but it's set in that universe, all those other movies, the opponent has always been larger than life, and also just a kind of a menacing figure. I mean, first you had Creed, then you had Clubber Lang, and then you had Ivan Drago. All those opponents were just, the presence is felt throughout the movie, and you really didn't feel the presence of this opponent in the movie. So like, they would have cut out some of the training montages, added more information for the opponent, I think the movie would have benefited a little bit. And while this isn't a Rocky film, as I said before, it's really kind of tailored as one. The story is truly about Adonis rising up and getting out of the shadow of his father, Apollo Creed. It's a good story, but it doesn't quite live up to the first Rocky, and that's because you don't really feel Adonis is in true dire straits. The first Rocky, he was down on his luck. He was a leg breaker for the mob. He was an over-the-hill fighter, not going anywhere. poor, living in a little itty-bitty apartment in the slums of Philadelphia. That's not Adonis. So you always kind of got the feeling that Adonis had somewhere else to go back to, or something else to fall back on. And that's where the movie kind of struggles a little bit in the plot, that you didn't really feel like he had to do this. Now, he was extremely honorable and extremely likable, and you rooted for him to do what he wanted to do, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, he didn't really have to do this. Now, he wanted to, and that's props to him, and it was a great story, but in the first Rocky, he had nowhere else to go. He was rock bottom. And that's just kind of where the movie, just didn't hit home as much as some of the other Rockies movies do. And maybe it's unfair to compare Creed to Rocky. There are similarities in the story, but Creed is his own man, and this is his own story. With all that being said, I still really like this movie. Michael B. Jordan's really good as Creed. Sylvester Stallone is, again, fantastic as Rocky Balboa. And if you're a Rocky fan, you're going to go see this movie in the theaters. Of course you are. And others should too, because this movie is worth seeing. Now, if you're not a Rocky fan, you probably can wait and rent this one at Redbox or do it video on demand, and don't necessarily have to see it at the theaters. Still worth seeing, but maybe a rental instead of going out to the theater and seeing it. All Rocky fans rush to see it on opening night, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Alright, if you've stuck around for me this long, it's time for plugs. So if you like my review, give me a thumbs up. If you think this review is worth sharing, give it a share on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever, and click the links at the end of the video if you're on a PC, and you can click the links. Because I know if you're on an iPad or a phone or any other device, you won't be able to click them, which I never really understood. But anyway, you want to see more of me talking? Click the links.